In the real Simas, right?
They probably meant Atzmus.
Well, I don't know.
But maybe they meant things.
Okay. All right. So we are on Nun base, right? Fourth line from the top. By the parentheses. So we finished, at this point, finished explaining this principle that really what we get in the world is the oil of the Shem Havaya. Shem Havaya, this we discussed, this is the oil of the Etzem Hu'alakus. But it comes through the Shem Elokim. So the Shem Elokim does not diminish, does not remove the Elokus from it. Except it's mitzamtzim, so that it comes in a way that the world can relate to it. And the Rebbe pointed out in the previous page what you said, that every nivra v'chai, every living being, margish shuhu chai. He feels that he is alive. This margish shuhu chai, this is above, on a higher level, than knowing that I can do things, I can move around, and I can do all kinds of things. This is an essential hergish of chayus. This chayus aspect, this is not from the Shem Elokim, this is from the Shem Havaya. Because this is in the essence of chayus, the essence of Elokus.
Shem Elokim is mitzamtzem Shem Havaya, the Chayes is mitzumtzem. But he didn't mitzamtzem this feeling that it's not coming from anywhere. The person don't feel his life coming from somewhere. He's like, feel his life, like in essence. He's alive in life. This part the Shem Elokim didn't mitzamtzem?
What, the father is alive? This comes through, right? This comes through the Shem Elokim. We will now see in the parentheses another side to it. This is similar. As we spoke the other day, Shem Havaya and Shem Elokim. Havaya is Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is Chochma Bina Chochma and Bina and Midas and Malchus.
Chochma, Bina, Midas, and Malchus with Das and exclude.
No. The Das is part of the Seichel. I'm not going into the details. I'm pointing out that this is the essence of the Koiches and Nefesh. Like Chochma Bina, Yud Kei, Chochma Bina, and then Vav and Malchus. And Elikim is the Inyan Machshava Dibur U'Maisa. So when we think a seichel, we think with oisius. We think with a seichel with oisius. We have a seichel described in a certain way, in an orderly way, like the Mizman Mokin, first this, then this, then this, like we discussed the other day, Havaya Melech, Havaya Molech, Mizman Mokin. We don't get a seichel in one spark. We have a seichel described to us, in an orderly way. It's machshava and then dibur. And the dibur, particularly in dibur, we see that there's a whole structure of seichel. And the structure is a logical structure. One thing leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. And yet, even though it is a logical structure in itself, we also recognize and we sense that the logic is only to reveal an insight. The real seichel cannot be spoken in words. The real seichel is that which we understand, that which we sense out of these words. This is why there's an expression, Akop kem nisharufshkel. Did you ever hear that expression? Anybody say, Akop kem nisharufshkel? You can't put a head on somebody's shoulder. You can explain to somebody seichel. And how do they get the seichel? Because they also have a head. Because they also have seichel. Except their seichel is not revealed, is not developed. And you're able to explain to them as adavar seichel with words. But if they take only the words that you explain to them, they haven't gotten the seichel. Through these words has to come the whole insight of the seichel.
So this insight of the seichel is Shem Havaya?
This is the mosel for the Shem Havaya. Like you said, Mashpia or Makabel is a mosel for Havaya and Alaki. This is the mosel for Shem Havaya. The seichel itself, just like Shem Havaya, we explained the Havaya. You with me, Biomin? I don't want to lose you. Huh? Yeah. Havaya is Yud Kei Vav Kei. What's Yud? What's Chochma Bina? Chochma and Bina is that which flows, which emanates from the nefesh, from the rotz. Emanates. It flows. It reveals from. It comes from. We explained what is the difference between when we, a human being, understands that 2 times 2 equals to 4, and when a computer also gives you a right answer, 2 times 2, 4. What's the difference between how the computer knows 2 times 2 equals 4 and how a human being knows 2 times 2 equals 4? What is the difference?
For us it makes sense, for computer it don't care.
This making sense is higher than the words 2 times 2 equals to 4. This is a nefesh in you. Something fits. This is a nefesh in you. This seichel emanates directly from the nefesh. That's why I say a seichel comes from a rotz. In other words, it's true to say that the reason I understand is because I want that this should be like this. It's because of Rotz. Except the Rotzin is a Rotzin, the true Rotzin. I want the truth. And this is why Seichel is true. So this emanates directly from the Nefesh. That's why we say Seichel. Now the Rebbe explains in Tanya. Now the koiches are nefesh, chochma, bina, v'dad, the 10 koiches, these are koiches, this is what's called etzem ha-nefesh. Even though they're only koiches ha-nefesh. But they represent the nefesh. Machshava Dibur U'Maisa are called levushim, garments of nefesh. They're not really part of the nefesh. They're external levushim. So if somebody learns a seichel in Machshava Dibur U'Maisa and he only gets the levush and he doesn't get the seichel, gets nothing. Only gets the format, the logic. He doesn't get the insight, that which makes sense. He doesn't get anything. Not a seichel. And this is the pshat, Havaya Hu Holikim, that even though Shem Holikim is mitzamtzim, let me connect it directly. What's the meaning for Machshava Dibur U'Maisa? The meaning for Machshava Dibur U'Maisa is that we should be able to express the seichel in a gashmistic world. Nefesh is ruchnis, is godly. How can we think of nefesh, of seichel, in our physical brain? It has to be with oisius. It has to be nislabish in something more gashmi, like the oisius. The same thing, dibur is even more gashmi. But this gashmi only brings the seichel to us, to our physical existence. But what we actually gain from it is not the gashmi, but the ruchni, the koyach hanefesh. The same is in Yin for Havaya and Elikim. Havaya brings the Inyan Holokus, is the Inyan Holokus, as it emanates and into Seder Hishtalstus. And then this is mislavish and Shem Elikim, so that then it can come into the world. Havaya Melech, Havaya Molech, Havaya Yimlich. Because in the world, everything has to be orderly, past, present, and future. Okay?
We say in Weimar that he's contemplating his chayus, so he can see the Shem Havaya. He can feel that his chayus coming from Shem Havaya.
No, he didn't say that. He said that everyone feels his chayus. The fact that he feels his chayus is proof that Shem Havaya is also present in our world.
It is, in other words, proof that Hashem Havaya is Elohim. When you feel your chayas, you can see anybody's chayas. I can see yours.
No, you can't see my chayus. You see my actions. This is Machshava Dibur U'Maisa. You see my actions. The chayus itself, this you feel the chayus. You magish your chayus. And this hergesh chayus, this is proof that the Shem Havaya, that the Elokus is not completely removed from the world.
Machshava Dibur U'Maisa is the garments to the chayus.
That's right.
וזהו החיוס, מה שכל נברא ונברא מרגיש שהוא חי, שהחיוס שבו הוא האור דשם הוויה, שנמשך על ידי שם אלוקים.
Right.
So he's feel the Shem Elokim, but from this he senses.
But he also senses in his chai. This chayus hergesh is being really from Havaya, from Shem Havaya.
Why he feels it from Shem Havaya?
He doesn't feel it from Shem Havaya. He doesn't feel it from Shem Havaya. But the Rebbe is telling you, if you understand the Inyan HaChayus, you would see that is from Shem Havaya. You want to understand why Chayus is from Shem Havaya? You want to understand that?
No, I want to understand what he's exactly feeling.
He's feeling that he's Chay. Kol nibra v'nibra magashu chai.
And the key is,
Finished.
the key is to understand it.
No. Kol nibra v'nibra magashu chai. That's the end of that statement. Now, the Rebbe is telling you that this hergesh hu chai, what is this chayes that he feels? In truth, this chayes is the gilui for Shem Havaya.
It's no different when I learned the minor, understand that this box is also from Shemalai, and this is in my life, it's also from Shemalai.
No.
How is it different?
No, 1 second. This you understand logically. That's what Shemalai. The chayus is an actual experience of chayus. And an experience of chayus is a Shem Havaya quality. It's not a Shem Elokim quality. We didn't go into this, but I'm saying if you're delving it, I'd like to explain to you why that's called Shem Havaya. But I want you to be ready for it. Binyamin? The chayus, the hergesh chayus, living life, even though we have life in the goof, in Gashmis, our goof comes to life. But it is not something that can be described in goof terms. What is life? Is life the fact that I can move this cup? Is life the fact that I can speak? Is life the fact that I can walk or see? Life is not describable in any physical activity. Life is an essential presence. This Indian that Rebbe says that he margeshu chai, this margeshu chai is a very subtle thing. Subtle, very fine, very, what? Yeah, what did you say in Russian?
Thin.
Tonki. Subtle, yeah. Anyway. Subtle means it's under the cover. It's undertoned. What is this hergeshu chai? Let's say you're sitting here like this. Somebody calls you, Chaim, come here. Do you have to then think, oh, he's calling me, I should come. Can I come? Do I have feet to go? Let me see, do I have feet? Find out. Oh, I have feet. Yeah, I can go. Doesn't work that way. At all times, you have an accountant. Huh?
It actually does work that way. We have to process. I have to some part of it that moves to my feet.
It does not
Makes
work
me
like that.
stand up. There's a whole
No, excuse me.
apparatus that
Excuse
makes
me,
me move
Shmuel.
and
Shmuel,
understand.
no. It's not, that's not the way it works. The fact that I can do, that I can, is at all times. At all times. Doesn't have to go through a process. This is actually what's known. This is what we call the Rotzen HaNefesh. This is the Rotzen HaNefesh. This is above, this is an essential thing that is constant in the person. And he always is margish, he always senses this. And he does not have to awaken himself and say, oh yeah, I'm here. Doesn't go that way. I'm here all the time. I'm here all the time. This is the Etzem HaChayes. From this Etzem HaChayes come the various koiches HaNefesh. These koiches HaNefesh are under the control of the Rotz. So, because the koiches HaNefesh are under control of the Rotz, that's why the koiches HaNefesh respond instantaneously to any desire, to any activity. But that's a secondary thing. The important thing is the margish hu chai. This is a constant thing. He's sitting there. He's doing absolutely nothing. Something is always going on. His margish hu chai. This hergish hu chai. How can be margish? Shem Elokim is always manomokim, right? Because manomokim means, how do I see that a person's alive? It changes from one moment to the other. He's here, he's there, he can move from one place to another. So we see that he has chayes. But if he's got no movement at all, and he's alive, what is this life about? This is life, the essential life of a lakus. Only a lakus has an essence. This is the Shem Havaya in every person. This is the sense of reality, the sense of truth in every person. And it's not really in every person, it's in every nivra. The Hegesh HaChai, the Chayos, is way above the intellect. When we say a human being knows that he's alive, this is way above the intellect. The Chayos, this is a nefesh quality. A Margish Hu Chai, this Hergish Hu Chai is that spark of Chayos that comes through all the halomis we have stated until it touches even the Gashmi. And even in Gashmi it's remarked as Chai. But this Hergish Hu Chai is not a Gashmistic sense. Understand? A Gashmistic sense always is Manumoki. I can do. Margish Hu Chai is not a Gashmistic experience. The nefesh comes into the guf ha'adam. The nefesh first touches the brain. The brain is the seat of chayus. This is where the nefesh comes. From the brain, the chayus is disseminated in all parts of the body. But the essential chayus is in the brain. What is the brain? The brain is an interesting aspect. On the one hand, the brain is also a gashmi. It's made of flesh, whatever, muscle. It's also gashmi. But this gashmi is so extremely sensitive, so extremely refined, that it can sense a chayes hanefesh. The hand, if you hit it, it feels. The hand doesn't feel it. If you move your hand quickly through the air and the air blows against your hand, you can also feel. But the hand doesn't feel anything. It's not sensitive. Every part of the body has different level of sensitivity. The heart, the brain, is the most sensitive organ in the body, and it is so sensitive that it is a keli for the chayes hanefesh, for chayes. And this chayas, this is not through the Shem Elikim. This is not something which is an active part, which is Nizman Mokim, and that can be described in Gashmius. It's a nakuda. And nakuda means nakuda, a point, a spark. And this spark, this is not translated through the Shem Elikim. It does not come through Machshava Dibur U'Maisa. It does not come through Oisius. Like all our thoughts of Seichel come through Oisius. Seichel is misled, it's formulated. Logic. This Chayes has not come through any kind of formulation. This is an essence of life. That means that it comes through all the halamas we have stated purely the way it is in essence. This is why it's called Shem Havaya. It is above world. It's a godly presence in the human being. We'll learn the parentheses now. Benjamin, you're looking through. We're going next page, right? The parentheses, and you'll see the complete thing. Ella, except, and nun beis on top. Ella, except sheyesh bozeh gam kim bechinas hahester. That even there, in this too, there is the aspect of Hester, the Shem Elikim, so to speak, is master in the Shem Havaya in this aspect as well. Hester, concealment, hiding. There's Bechiza Hester in that too. The who, and what is his Hester? If he's Margish Hu Chai, so he's Margish Shem Havaya. What's a Hester? The Hester is Ma she'ein ha'nivro Margish Shu Chayus Eliki. The fact that the Nivra does not feel, does not sense that this Chayus is Eliki. Therefore, the Elikus aspect of it has been concealed.
He sensed the Chayus, but he doesn't sense his Chayus.
Chayus Eliki.
So what he keeps understanding is higher.
Wait, before you ask a question. What is the difference? What is Magish Chayes and Magish Chayes Eliki? What's Chayes Eliki?
Understanding is Chayus come from...
That's understanding. We're talking about Margish now. Not talking understanding. Understanding you can learn in a book. That's not what we're talking about. Margish is not Margish. Margish Chayes Eliki. What is he missing? What is it not Margish? Eliki means an absolute truth. Eliki means indestructible. Eliki means that which didn't get created. This is the essential truth. A Nivra is Margish and he's alive, but it's not Margish that this Chayas is Eliki. It's an absolute truth. It's indestructible. This is why, if he was Margish that this is Chayes Eliki, he would never subject. He would never pull his neshama into doing Averis. This is a good thing, and this is a neshama thing. Neshama is eternal. How do you want to subject the neshama to a temporary pleasure? He's margis that he is chai, but he's not margis that this is chai seleki. And that's the helam. That's a helam that the effect of Hashem Elokim. If a person would be margish that this is chai seleki, naturally, then there would be that would be the end of nisyonis. That would be the end of bechira. Just as a person would not naturally subject himself to danger, he would not go walk into fire. It doesn't have to be taught. It doesn't have to be hold his kafir to not go into fire. He doesn't go into fire because he doesn't want to get burned. Doesn't want to die. And people be margish at the chayas, that this chayas eliki, then he would not want to subject this chayas. This chayas eliki is way beyond this physical existence. And he would never want to draw this into anything that's impure. Just like he wouldn't want to draw himself into fire. This is the effect of the hester of the Shem Elikim. That even though the spark, so to speak, comes through the Helam, but it comes through the Helam in a camouflage, in a hidden way. Just as what we spoke about before, Seichel. We understand the Seichel, we expect the Seichel logically. But what do we understand? Like you said, we really sense, it makes sense. We understand the Seichel, not the logic. But that in order to recognize that, we have to really focus in and think about it. And superficially, it appears we understand the logic, not the Seichel. I've met people who had a very difficult time to recognize that a human being understands differently than a computer. Very difficult time. Until they were able to see it. Because they were drawn into this chitzonis seichel that they couldn't even relate to a real seichel. Like, the psychology or even the whole theory of evolution, there, they completely discount, completely disregard, cancel out on the Shoma, on Nefesh. And the whole thing that's taking place is all a sequence of messages, order. A sequence of messages, that's all it is. So everything is at the level of Machshava Dibur Mais. No Nefesh. No real Seichel. Let's forget about that. Okay? We're not studying the human brain. We're trying to understand the mind. You understand? So the hergesh hu chai is really a hergesh from Shemavai. But even that is behelem. There's an aspect of hester in the fact that you are not marked that this is something. You are alive and yet masking that the margish that this is Eliki. Let's continue. Avo ba'emes. Okay, so that's also a hester. Avo ba'emes. This is not the end yet. Avo ba'emes. But in real truth, ein ze hester amiti. Even that is not a true hester. This in it, that we're not margish, that this chayes is chayes halaki, is not a hester amiti, meaning it is not completely concealed from us, that we cannot get to be margish that. It's concealed from us, but not in truth, not ultimately. Why? Shaharei ba'emes. Since that in truth, hu chayes halaki, in real truth, this is chayes halaki. Even though we do not recognize it as such, but it is really chayes halaki. And v'ha'odam yochel lahargish zois, and the person is capable to sense this, that this is chayes halaki, when kishenoi daitay al zeh. It's possible to be marked that this is chayes halaki, but for this you need already avoida when you focus in and you think about it. When you focus in and you think about chayes, you see that this is inyan halaki. You can be marked that this is halaki. This is not a worldly thing. What is chayes? It's something completely super world. You focus in on the chayes. So that means that it's not really completely concealed. The fact that we are not married that this is a leki under normal circumstances is because our mind is elsewhere. Our mind into Gashmis. So we margish our chai and then we go weiter. We still go back into our worldly concerns. That becomes a reality. But if Noisin Daite Alzeh, he focuses in and he thinks about chayes, the chayes that he feels, then he will be able to be margish that this is chayes halaki. V'nimtzo. And thus it comes out, shehahester b'shem halaki, that this hester, that the Shem Elikim affects, Einoi hester amiti, is not a true hester. It is not a true hester in the sense that it conceals the Shem Havai completely. No such thing. Not a true hester. Kiyim aderab. In truth, just the opposite. The Shem Elikim is maybe it brings umegale as ha'oi b'madrega shalamato. The whole effect of the Shem Elikim is to bring the oil of the Shem Havaya into a lower madrega. That's what the Shem Elikim is. Its objective and its function is not to conceal, but to reveal. But to reveal at a lower level. And what does madrega shalamato mean? Hainu b'nivroyim ba'alei gvul. Madrega shalamato means in nivroyim ba'alei gvul, limited creatures like the human being. She'einon be'erech ho'ei l'shem havaya, ho'ei l'shem havaya yoyer bohem. She'einon be'erech ho'ei l'shem havaya. They are not be'erech of this oil l'shem havaya because they are ba'alei gvul. Shem havaya. This is what I said before, Shem Havai, this is Elokus, this is Bli Gvul. So the Shem Havai cannot be made in Yivroim who are Bali Gvul. And the effect of the Shem Elikim is that these Nivroim that cannot be sensitive directly to the oil of Shem Havai, even by them, Yoyir Bohem Gamkin Hoyer Havai Kanal. That in them too should shine the oil of Shem Havai.
One said, he say, Shinam Berech or the Shem Havaya, they cannot contain the Shem Havaya, and the Shem Elokim make them to yes to contain Shem Havaya?
Yeah. Shoy behem gam ken hoyer Hashem Havaya.
He said before they cannot come to Hashem.
Right. They cannot receive the oil Hashem Havaya directly. But when the oil is limited and is contained in Shem Elikim, then they're able to accept it, to receive it. This is the same meaning, like we discussed before. This is the same meaning that the Seichel, to truly understand Seichel, you have to understand it in Machshava. Right? Anything that's not in Machshava, that which is contained in Nefesh, is not Seichel that a person in the Guf can relate to. It's Nefesh. Nefesh and Gashmi do not communicate. When does it communicate? It is through Machshava Dibur Ma'aser, through the Levushim HaNefesh. But when you have the Seichel translated and expressed in Machshava, in Oisis HaMachshava, then you're able to understand the Seichel in the Gashmis you can bring. Because at that point, the Seichel, the Oyer HaSeichel, has been diminished, lessened, became less, became smaller. It's not shining with the brightness of the godly brightness. It became what's called a worldly mitzius, and therefore the brain is also able to take it. Can you look at the sun with your eyes? Can you look at the moon? It's the same light. It's the same light. Can you look at the stars? It's exactly the same thing. Some stars are larger than the sun.
So even after all the tzimtzumim, it's still called Shem alive.
Yeah, sure, it's light.
Much less, but it's still.
Yeah, of course. That's why we say that there's a hergish achayus. Even all the after the tzimtzum. This is the expression, Ma'at oyer, doiche harbe choshech. There's a whole bunch of choshech. You put one little spark of light, and it illuminates the whole choshech. So, why? Why does it illuminate the whole choshech? Because choshech is not a real mitzias. Choshech is the absence of light. When you bring light into it, light is a real mitzias. It's light. It's the real thing. And therefore it illuminates the whole room. And this room were completely pitch dark. Not totally pitch dark. You put one little candle on the side. You'll be able to see all over. After a while, you get used to it, and everything becomes bright. Because it's a real thing. It's Shem Havaya. I mean, it's a Moshe. It's a real thing. It's a Liki. So it doesn't matter how small it becomes, it's still real chayus.
describe what is Elohim then?
What?
If your feeling of being alive is Shem Havaya, then what is Elohim?
Elohim is that which limits this Shem Havaya. It conceals it. It forms. It presents a form through which the Shem Havaya shines through.
In this particular instance, I'm talking about feeling of being alive. You said it's Havaya, and I said, what is Elohim?
Elohim is what makes it possible that Shem Havaya should be mislabish in the goof. Otherwise, it would be impossible.
So what makes possible my self-awareness?
I'm not going there. We're not studying psychology.
But this is the mimer. Havaya, Elohim.
No, wait a second. Self-awareness is a different concept.
Okay, Margish Chayas.
Yeah.
It's not self-awareness?
No.
That's a different thing. What is it?
We were just talking about Margishu Chai. Self-awareness is a machshava. It's a different level completely.
Self-awareness is when you know that you're alive. You sit there and you don't know nothing.
Listen, Reb Shmuel, you want to debate me?
I don't want to debate. I ask you a question.
No. If I have a question, so let's learn with the mind. Margishu Chai means Margish Chayus, not self-awareness. Self-awareness is a different concept. And this Chayus, in order that this Chayus should be felt in the goof, it has to go through Shem Havaya. Just as any seichel, to get the seichel into your machshava, into your brain, it has to go through machshava, through oisius. Even though it's not the oisius that you're trying to understand, you're trying to understand the seichel that's in the oisius. But you will not be able to understand the seichel without the oisius. You understand that, right? Without the form.
In other words, he gives us tools, and when he gives us machshavas, dibur, and noises, all this levushim, he gives us tools to understand him, to reveal himself. Because if we would not have this, we would have there would be nothing. This is what you're saying. We understand.
Okay? But the important thing is that through this machshava dibur u'maisa, you get to know the chayus itself, not just the form of the machshava. Because 2 times 2 equals to 4 is a very simple thing. A computer also can know the truth, the answer. But a human being understands it because it makes sense. It's a different thing. Okay? All right, Shmuel? All right. So we are now continuing further. V'hine, k'moi shenizboer liyil b'moshol b'mashpio mekabe. Just as we explained earlier, in the moshol of a mashpia mekabe. So we explained in that moshol, she'hamekabel yuchal lovei, that the mekabel eventually, ultimately, the mekabel will be able to come, to reach, to get to gam kein lo'oimek pnimius ve'atzmus chochmos orav. He'll be able to come to the depth of the pnimius and the atzmus of the chochmos orav, as we discussed it then. That even though at the time when he first receives this teaching from the Rav, he is learning a very a subset, so to speak, a very limited of the Chokhmah, the form of the Chokhmah, the external, the chitzonius of the Chokhmah. But when he takes this chitzonius, the Talmud, the Makabel, can eventually, through this chitzonius, get to the pnimius and to the atzmos of the Chokhmah. That's what we discussed the other time. Because, and we explained then, because in the chitzonius of the Chokhmah Zorav, the chitzonius that he's teaching, the chitzonius contains and represents the whole pnimius and etzem. And that the Rav himself, he can recognize in the chitzonius the whole pnimius and the whole etzem haseichel. And this is how the Mekabel can also come to it. V'hu, and that is what we say, when the Gemara says, Ma de'achar arboim shnim, that after 40 years, koyim adaita de rabbi. After 40 years, the Gemara says, koyim inish adaita de rabbi, that a person can koyim, stand, meaning he can reach and fully comprehend daita de rabbi, the mind and the thought of his rabbi. The Rebbe taught him a seichel, and at the time when the Rebbe taught him the seichel, there was a tremendous gap between the Talmud and the Rav. But after 40 years, he can reach to understand the full impact, the full sensitivity of the seichel harav, as we have learned before. Kvoi tein yuvam behanimshal. Gamkin. The similar thing will be understood now in the Nimshal. The Nimshal for that is Shem Havaya and Shem Elikim. The Be'em is that in truth, Yochel Kolechot V'Yechod, everyone is capable, Lovei, Lebchinas Gilui Oir Pnimius V'Yasmus in Sod the Shem Havaya. Everyone is capable. Actually, the word yochel does not necessarily mean capable. It depends on what kind of seichel he has, and Miklal, it depends on his koyach haseichel and other factors. But when you say the word yochel over here, we don't mean that he's capable, but that he is allowed. He can. In other words, it's open to him. If he reaches it, or he doesn't reach, that depends already on the type of skir haseichel that he has. But in essence, it's there. It's available to him. Yochel kol echod v'yechod, lo v'lebchinas gilo ei pnimis v'yasmus ein soif. Everyone can come to the aspect of Gilui, the oil pnimis v'yasmis ein soif, Shem Havaya.
Excuse me, I want to ask you, if you don't mind asking, what do you mean? He has a certain seichel, and capable is the wrong word, understand? It all depends on his, the openness of some sort of understanding is dependent on his, let's say, Yiras Shamayim, maybe? Is this what you mean, open to him? Yoichel?
Open to him means it's open, it's available.
Available through what exactly?
Available through his seichel, through his avodah, as we're going to see later. But he has to do the avodah for this.
Right,
but it's there.
I'm asking on what factor exactly does it depend that this particular channel that opens to him? Is it
It's open. No, it's open to him because the Rebbe should put it into the world. It's there because the Shem Elokim did not conceal the Shem Havaya, did not take it away, and that's why it's there. In Yochel, it's there. Now, how you get there, that's a separate thing. How you get to be Megala, to reveal the Sinyan, that you have to work with your seichel. Just like to go from here to that wall, it's available to us. But how do you get there? You have to get up and walk. And if you sit on your seat, you're not going to get there. The same thing is in the terms of getting any place, in terms of rising and getting a Gilui Shem Havaya, it's available. It's there. Because Shem Elokim does not conceal it completely. But one has to work, and like we're going to see what the work is, to enable himself to get there. Doesn't come automatically. But it is possible. And he's able to come to Pnimius v'atzmius Ein Sof l'Shem Havaya. The Atzmius of Ein Sof. Which means that the essence of Ein Sof, he can reach that to the point sheyoyir begilui benafshay. That this Atzmius, Pnimius and Atzmius Ein Sof l'Shem Havaya should be shining begilui, openly in full glory, full glare in his nefesh.
Well, without concealment of things of Shem Elokim,
Through the Shem Elokim, he can reveal that oir. Again, take the muscle of seichel. You start from logic, from proof, which is chitzonis and seichel. And then, when you focus in and delve into it, you see that you can come to the etzem of the seichel. That you don't need any proof anymore. You recognize that this is true. You don't need any proof anymore. This is the pnimius and etzem haseichel. But how do you come there? You start from the chitzonius.
According to the motion, when you get Gilui Pnimius V'atzmos of Ein Sof, so you don't need already Shem Elokim. It's revealed to you.
That's right. But what made it possible for you to get there? It is through the Shem Elokim. It's true.
After I get to the mitzvah.
After, that's right.
I see like from different perspective of the world.
When people used to write notes to the Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael, the minute they dropped it into the mailbox, they really got an answer. Yeah.
What do you mean, letters?
Yeah, sometimes the Rebbe wrote them an answer before he got the letter. And sometimes, even more than that, the minute they wrote it down, even before they dropped it in the mailbox, at different times. It's a very famous story with the Mendel Futterfass. I heard the story in different variations, so I don't know if I'm telling you exactly the way it is, a whole different variation, but the story, the essence story is true. The Mendel Futterfass was imprisoned, in Russia. When he was imprisoned in Russia, he was actually stopped in Lemberg, in Lvov. Everybody left. His wife and children went across the border, and he remained behind. So he was taken to the Russian gulag, and it took, months, with interrogations and all kinds of tortures, until finally they left him alone. Finished. Now you got your prison term, You're going to sit 10 years, and okay, now at least he's got some peace. You know what I'm saying? When he got a moment to think, he started to think about his wife and children. Where are they? Who's taking care of them? So he decided he's going to write a pidyon from them. A pidyon, a pun. He's going to write a pidyon to them from them. So Friedrich came up. So he sat down, whatever he did, and in his mind, he didn't have pen and paper, he didn't have anything, right? And that we can understand. In his mind, he wrote a pidyon from Reb about his wife and children. His wife at that time was in Austria, in Steyr, in a camp in Austria. She receives a letter from Rebbe, and the Rebbe writes that the pidyon nefesh was received, and she should go to England. We didn't know where to go. You know, people were stranded. She should make her way to England. She had no idea which pidyon nefesh, who wrote the pidyon nefesh. She had no idea. She received the letter from Rebbe, so she went to England. Okay. 20 years later, the Mendel came out of Russia. And she showed him this letter. She said, "What is this letter about?" He said, that was the pidyon I sent to them.
You went to England?
What?
She had to go to England?
She went to England, right.
What for?
What?
She has to do there something?
No, she has to settle down. You know, you have to, we were traveling, and settle down to go to England.
She got out of Europe, and she settled in a somewhat safer place. Maybe she couldn't reach the United States.
Reb Shmuel has always a little twist. We were traveling, there was no place, we were in DP camp. You know what DP camp? DP camps.
Deportation something.
Displaced person camp. Now it's people who had no place.
Refugee camp.
Refugee camp. So the Rebbe told her to settle down in England. So when there is a Gil and Shem Havaya, Odom Orishin, the Gemara says, Odom Orishin, with the light that was created in the first day, he was able to see Yesod Ha'elam at Seifei. How can you see Yesod Ha'elam at Seifei? It's unnatural. Yeah, it's not natural. It's a different kind of sight. So the Rebbe is saying that Shem Havaya is concealed, but it's available to everybody. Yochel doesn't mean that Yochel that he can reach it. That depends on the person. But it's not concealed in the sense that it's removed. That's the point. And the important point over here at the Shem Elokim is not meant, does not intend to remove the Shem Havaya, but it means to bring it down. But it's bring it down into the world, and it should be available in the world as well. Where without that, it would not be available.
So really it's our friend. He helped us.
Absolutely. Did you ever see how they feed little babies? They have little spoons, tiny spoons, much smaller than our teaspoons. Take a little teeny amount of food and put it in the baby's mouth. Why are you being so stingy? Give him a spoon, a full spoon of food. The answer is that the baby couldn't eat a full spoon of food. That's all he can eat at a time. But then he eats 1 and 2 and 3 of these little spoons. Eventually he grows up and is able to eat at an adult level. let's finish to another couple of lines. So, the HaYom, and that is, how is he able to reach to Gilui Pnimis V'Atzmos Ein Sof? It's sure right. The HaYom, that is Alidei Avodah, with the effort, Bigia with labor, with toil, Bigias Nefesh, Bigias Basar. He actually subjects, he toils, he labors with his nefesh and with his flesh. With his nefesh means that he focuses with his nefesh on the inyan that he wants to do in full force without being distracted.
How can you do this?
That's mean to giyas nefesh. You can't do it. This is a giya. This is called labor. Slowly you develop this, and then there is giyas basar. The giyas basar is altogether a different aspect, that you have to refine your flesh sensitivity, that it should not interfere with your ruchnis, with your seichel. Huh? No, well, that maybe is the first step. Because normally, like we said before, every person said has Herz HaChayis. He's Margish HaChayis. But he's not Margish that this is Chayis Eliki. But he could if Noisin Daito Azeh, if he focuses in, if he thinks about it. Why doesn't everybody think about it?
You don't know how to do it.
No, he doesn't think about it because he's preoccupied with his gashmis, with his goof. Not necessarily with his food or his sleep, but he is preoccupied to understand things in a gashmisdike context, in a gashmisdike form. Okay, I had many times in a class, when you learn something, so somebody would ask me, so if somebody asks you a question, this question, how do I answer? So I explained to him what we are learning is not to formulate an answer to somebody asking a question. This is a formulate an answer to yourself. First you have to understand for yourself, then you formulate an answer to somebody else. If a person thinks, how do we think? Many times we think of what do I know? How do I present what I know? That's not real knowledge. That's chitzonius. That's not real knowledge.
You check yourself like this. If you can explain to somebody else.
Yeah, but that's still knowing the chitzonius. The real checking yourself is, do I really understand the seichel? Do I really sense the seichel? Do I really see how true it is? Way beyond checking yourself how I can explain it to somebody else. When you get the seichel at that level, then when you try to understand it to somebody else, you have to reformat the seichel. You have to start from the beginning. Like the Rav, when he tries to explain to the Talmud, he has to reformat the seichel. He can't explain to him the way he understands it.
But sometimes you study something, you really relate to this, you think you really understand, and then you come to the wrong, you say, he said this, he said no, he took it wrong.
Right. So because you understand what it says, so you understand the words. You understand the words that it says, but it's not understanding the inyan itself.
I was thinking I understand the Indian itself.
Okay? Obviously, to understand the inyan itself is a different level. For that you need the Giyas Nefesh and Giyas Bosa. For that you need to be able to focus in on the Etzem HaChayis, like I said, and relate to it. Not in words, not how do I explain it, how do I prove it, but what is the Inyan? Different ways of learning. But the main thing is that it's available. Okay, this is it for today. I think they're keeping them from getting into their class. Shmuel, pleasure.